Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy here with some of my esteemed colleagues. And
I am the arcane college
And I forgot
advisor,
the thing.
Ryan.
I'm Ted. I'm Nate.
Maybe we should mention that we're 4 nerds by nerds.
maybe
Maybe.
we could mention that.
So what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about Sorcerer versus Wizard, and we may throw some other stuff in there.
Yeah,
too.
maybe mention some other arcane sort of.
All right, so we had a video. We've talked about Wizard. We talked about Sorcerer. And there was a lot of stuff in our Sorcerer video that was kind of like,
we wanted
you
to
know,
mention.
we wanted to mention
And we
about
did.
how they don't stack up well against the Wizard.
Hey, does anybody
So-
remember who asked us to do the video?
I might pull out my phone and see if
Yeah.
I can find out.
We'll
Well,
try-
you guys
research
talk
that.
amongst yourselves.
We'll try and see if we can find that out while we're discussing. So what's the deal here? I know at low levels, the Sorcerer just is kind of pales in comparison to the Wizard.
Well, yeah, my biggest issue is in the initial feature block of the two, and they're pretty much identical.
You're talking about what
hit
what
dice.
All right, so you get the weapons of daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, light crossbow. Daggers, darts, slings, yeah,
It's exactly the same.
Proficiency.
The
with armor.
proficiencies are different, but you still only get to. So, like, here's my thing, right? The wizard is okay. I went to Hogwarts and now I know how to cast spells.
Oh, can I mention the person? I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
I got him here. So, draw off. It's like the word draw with of at the end. I don't know how to pronounce it. How you pronounce draw of?
I don't
Draw
know.
of.
Sorry if we're not pronouncing it correctly, but
Yeah, I don't
there's your
know.
shout-out.
I failed my English check, so sorry. Yeah.
So, yes, there's nothing thematically different in your base class features. You have some different skills. Your saving throw proficiencies are different, but you're not getting any tools. You're not getting any languages for either.
Yeah. Do we mention the fact that the wizards spent all their goddamn time at Hogwarts, and the sorcerer's just like, I just do this thing, but I'm just as good at doing other stuff as you are.
Yeah, it's like your good for nothing nephew that just lays about.
But he's like an innately gifted athlete or something like that.
Magic.
Yeah.
But like, there's no compensation anywhere else. He's got no other resources to draw on.
No, I'm just as good at you as. Yeah, I could run a 10K just as well as you, even though I don't keep my nose in the books like you do. Yeah.
So like in third edition, right, where the sorcerer really originated from, if we look back at that, you go, all right, you got. They did a good job in the sense that you didn't get to cast as many, or you didn't get you got more castings, a little less diversity, and it took you longer to get your more powerful spells. But the trade-off was, I think you had more skills to work with, more variety.
You had a wider range. You had the same number of skill points, which actually I think they were kind of given a raw deal in that way. Well, wait. So they had the wider weapon proficiency.
Bigger hit die
Yeah, higher hit die.
They did have the higher hit die.
and more weapons.
Yeah.
We've mentioned that. They had I think they had a slightly wider skill selection, but the same amount of skill points. Which, when you think about it in third edition terms, though, what was your primary stat for having skills but intelligence? So the wizard ended up winning anyway.
That's true.
Really. So yeah,
You're right.
they kind of
Wizards of the Coast has hated sorcerers since the dawn of time.
They're biased because of their name.
Wizards of the Coast.
That's right. They're not sorcerers.
If you want to look about the diversity, look at spell access. A wizard at first level gets to put 6 first level spells in their spell book, and then over the course of the next 19 levels, they get an additional 38 spells automatically put into their book.
They don't have to pay for it.
That's 44 spells for free. That's in their book. That's not counting any spells that they've come
Paid to
across.
research.
That they've paid to research. That they've shared with other wizards. Yes, there's a gold cost involved in that.
But it's only gold when you're talking about power.
But
But the sorcerer gets 15.
but the sorcerer gets a total of 15 spells.
Yeah, it's kind of a kick.
Oh,
in the
and
nuts.
then
A third.
I did a side by. We were talking mainly like around level 17.
Well, you want to add a little salt to this wound?
Which,
Go flip to the bard. See how many spells they get.
well, no, but
I already know the answer. They know 22 spells.
that's pretty bad. That's pretty terrible. But on top of that, too, just 17th level sorcerer to wizard. So the
Are the bards
wizard.
better sorcerers than the sorcerers?
Yeah,
Yeah, they can
they
outsource
outsource them.
them.
They outsource
They
them.
outsource them.
So
Man.
the wizard gets access to 21 levels of spells.
Yeah.
A lot of its spell slot levels, versus the sorcerer at that same level.
I don't even want to talk about that. Listen.
Level 15, they get 15 levels of spells. 21, 6 levels more. The wizard gets access of just random
At
spells.
17th level?
Yeah, 17th level. 17th level. So you get access to 15 different spells, right, of varying levels. Whereas the wizard gets access to 21 levels of spells. They get to get half of their level back when they take a short rest throughout the course
Same
of the day.
It's the same, yeah. This spell.
19.
For the slots? No.
Spell slots. It's
Say they have a comparable.
At 17th level, spell slots, they both have 19.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
It's the exact same.
I was
chart.
wondering where you're going. with
no.
that.
Spells memorized. I mean, the spells that they have memorized.
Oh,
Or
okay.
spells prepared.
Right,
Okay.
or prepared. Okay, prepared.
Prepared spells.
So the wizard has access to 21 spells. I was going off of saying they have a 20 stat for their primary stat, 17th level, entirely feasible.
Yeah, 17th
but,
level.
So 21 levels of spells memorized, or whatever, versus the 15. Then they get the arcane recovery. So like the wizard's just a better caster
And
all around.
That 21
Forget
spells,
that.
that's only a +4 modifier.
The bard
Yeah.
at 20th level can own. College of Lore, by the way. Bard can own half as many sorcerer spells as the sorcerer actually has.
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
8.
messed up.
More than half, actually. So,
And they get all the cool tricks that bards get. They get,
well, yeah, and they get more spells than that too. Then they get
Yeah.
more spells. It's like they can only dip into like I always want to make the bard just his only purpose in existence is to make fun of
To
sorcerers.
outshine the sorcerers. Yeah.
Like, look, I'm like a sorcerer. Oh no, I'm better. I have more spells than you.
but I can play several musical instruments. Oh, I can make sinks fall in my head sometimes. Like, yeah, that sounds really good.
That's great.
Let's
You
play.
know,
So the bard sits back and it's like, oh yeah, I play musical instruments and I cast spells. What do? I cast spells. Who's gonna run out of spells first? The sorcerer's like, but I can cast more cantrips.
Well, I mean, so
I have one more.
I mean, part of that you do have to factor in the sorcerer points that they get to dip into.
Absolutely.
So the meta magic pretty much makes the class when it comes down.
Well, no, but I mean, just trading in those points just out and out for spellcasting power.
But
But
it's still
you either
it's
have
still-
to spend them all for one thing or the other, like to really differentiate yourself.
to really look at the painful portion of that. Let's go back to that number of 15 spells known.
Yeah.
There are 9 levels of spells. So that means over the course of your 9 levels of spells, you have 6.
You can't even
Extra
know
spells.
2 from each
Each
level.
level. That's
So
right.
your 9th and 8th level spell, you can say, you know what? I only get the 1. I'm only ever going to cast the 1. Unless you decide, you know what? Those 8th and 9th level spells, they're just not going to be important to me. I'll take other levels of spells and just use those spell slots
to soup them up.
to soup them up, or to just get more sorcerer points and cast a lot more lower level spells. That's the only thing I can see as being advantageous. But why would you not want to cast a 9th level spell?
That's right. It's
Oh!
usually some of the most destructive things in the game are going to happen in levels 8 and 9.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take, Magic Missile, and that's solely my first level spell. And I'm going to take, Acid Arrow as my second level spell, and, that's just set in stone, and wait until you get the higher level spots in order to learn more spells? Or do you have to start off with more spells?
I mean, at a certain point, dude, like, what you might do is like, yeah, the second level spell selection isn't really for me. I'm just going to trade those all in for sorcery points and, like, just use it to soup everything up. And, like, this way you might maintain 1 or 2 first level spells.
Well, you
and, like,
cast your
basically you
first-
start trading in all your low level spell slots for sorcery points to burn on other
So,
things.
what's it cost? It's like 7 points for a
get a
fifth
fifth.
level spell,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the max you can do.
and that's the max you can do. So you can do it twice.
Yeah.
And that would be all your points.
Well, no, it wouldn't be all of
Are
them.
you talking like level 20?
No, at level 20.
At
you
level
got 6
20,
level.
you have 20
I was looking at
points.
the wrong row of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, okay. So you got 20.
So at 20th level, you can almost get three 5th level spots.
You
Slots.
get 2/5 and a 4th, right?
You can essentially, at 20th level, outmage the mage 1 through 5.
Right, there you go. There you go.
That's
Well,
like
I mean, that's where it counts
that-
because really,
that's your selling spot. So, I just wonder what Wizards was thinking when they were doing the playtest and going, yeah, this is as good as the other classes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
totally.
In the middle range, I think like that 7th through 14th, I think they're gonna perform well. But once the Wizard starts getting those 8th and 9th levels spells, the spells in this book are just destructive. And to only be able to ever get one. There's no point in ever having
Just
two 8th
one,
level spells
yeah.
or two 9th level spells. It's pointless. There's no way to get an additional because you're maxed out at 15. And by that point in time, you're really, it's like, all right, you're at 17th level, you get access to your 9th level spell, and you have one spell known slot left.
So, I got a question for
Well, I
you
mean,
guys.
you are able to trade out your spell list as you level too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
Well,
part.
yeah.
They get to restructure the powers a bit.
So,
oh, where's that at?
It's
Under their
when they gain spells.
spellcasting.
I think they get to trade out like one per level. I think they get to trade off their spell list.
That helps.
Additionally, when you
Be
gain a
better.
level in this class, you can choose one of the sorcerer spells and replace it with another spell from the sorcerer spell list, which must also be of a level which you have spell slots. Okay, so you're
not stuck.
not stuck by having all low
But
level
you
spells.
start. But what you start saying is, all right, I have no second level spells now. Let's turn these all into sorcerer points.
yeah.
Well, or upgrading your first
Upcast.
level
Yeah, you
spells or
upcast
whatever.
first level.
Right.
But so I got a question for you guys, right? So what do you think? Like, do you think they plan on doing stuff with feats or something later on to make this to kind of bridge the gap?
Dude, in 3rd edition, how much? Because again, I would say that there's kind of a similar problems. Like the fact that in 5th edition now, a lot of the arcane classes now get to do the one thing that made that made the sorcerer a unicorn. Now, so what made the sorcerer special is no longer applicable because the other classes do it and do it better, actually.
Well, that's what I mean. Class specific feats.
So what I'm saying is they never resolved it in 3.5. The sorcerer never got commensurately better. So I don't know. I would hope that they would come out with
To
something.
answer your question, based on the material in the player's handbook, I would say no. It does. There isn't really class-specific feats here.
Not
Yeah.
yet.
So it's possible that they're going to do that. But the way I look at it is if they're going to offer class-specific feats, they're going to offer them, something for everything, making everyone else shine a little bit better.
Well, no. First of all, feats aren't really about making you better. They're actually they add flavor and uniqueness and let you do cool things. They don't make you better.
Right.
Because a plus to the stats is it's a big price to pay to get it.
True.
So, but what I'm saying is they could add feats because of the way the feats work, because they're like big blocks that get inserted to your character. There's a lot more wiggle room for them to do cool stuff where it interacts with the stuff you've already got going on. Again, we're going to see more bloodlines because the draconic bloodline is not bad.
Yeah, I really think it would take an act of errata to make again, they're thematically cool, but to make them mechanically as good as arcane casters, it's going to take an act of errata to fix them.
I agree with you. I don't think it's going to take a great amount.
No.
It's just a little bit of
Dude,
tweaking.
give them something as good as what the Wizards gets with arcane recovery. That's really
They're-
give them something equivocal for regaining sorcerer points.
The 20th level power of getting 4 back at a short rest is kind of it, but it's almost
Why don't you
moot.
just have that power?
It's
You
moot
take
of
it
that
out, you
at
get some
20th
points back.
level. So you could, if you want to make the sorcerer shine, give them that at a lower level. Just automatically you get 4 back at a short rest because 4 is not overpowerful. That's 2 first level
Well,
spells.
Wait,
It's
it's
only
only
no.
4 or your max, whatever.
Well,
Because at first level, you know.
It caps. Well, it certainly caps. You can't have more than your level in sorcerer
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
But I think at low level, if you arcane recovery that wizards get, I don't know what level they get. Second level maybe.
Second or first? No, they get it first.
Arcane recovery is first level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right from
So-
the
Maybe you lower that to 2 sorcery points, and then at higher levels they get the 4, like it ups to 4 at a short rest. Because here's the thing, you could take a number. It's only taking a short rest. A short rest in the day is only an hour, so you could take a number of short rests. And 4
I would put in under Font of Magic, where you get sorcery points, the ability to recover them. You have a maximum number of points, so you could start off saying, okay, you get 2 back, even if it's just 2 back at a short rest.
Yeah.
At
2
lower
I think
level.
is pretty reasonable because that's an extra first level spell.
Exactly. And then at 20th level, you could totally dominate the spell field by saying you take a short rest, you get half back.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing,
That's 10.
I didn't even factor in arcane recovery, which you can only do once per day as a wizard. I didn't even factor it in. The wizard actually gets to cast more first level spells at first level than the sorcerer when you
Over the
factor.
course of a day.
Yeah, when you. Oh wait, I'm going to take a nap and now I can actually outcast the innately magical being of magic power.
Hey,
It's
don't
bullshit.
forget. Hey, don't forget they got 4 cantrips.
Oh yeah, they do.
I did 3.
Not,
Okay, so
Does
now,
not have
so
3,
now
it has 4.
I know you've talked about it a number of times. Now there is the one drawback to being a wizard.
The wizard does have an Achilles heel.
You have to carry around that book. It costs 50 gold. You got to carry it. You got to translate spells and put them into your book.
Yeah, and if it's not the spells that you actually get, like from when you research or capture spell books, that's 50 gold per spell level. And depending on what kind of campaign you're running, we're in a campaign now, and I can't actually afford to scribe spells into my spell book
Well,
from a captured book.
There's a couple of reasons for that, and sorry to go off tangent. Number one, we don't have access to the DMG, so I don't have anything that's supposed to say, what is the scalable income for, adventuring.
Dude,
don't
I
know
would just look at the cost of living and then extrapolate. Well, do I want my players to be able to do anything but actually just live? Because they put in the PHB, there's that section of just how adventurers spend their daytime, their downtime. Well, other than just eating, drinking, and having a roof over their heads, do I want my PCs to be able to do anything?
Well, there's other problems that go
Yeah.
along with that anyway.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this. You can't just throw gold at that problem to fix it. Because when you do that, that means everybody gets more gold, and it creates other problems in your campaign world. If you don't want to have, a high magic, Monty Hall
yeah.
kind of campaign, so how do you fix it? Well, you can, I guess the more rational thing to do in my mind is just lower the cost of what it costs to scribe into your spell book. So I mean that's one of the fixes. It depends. Again, that just comes. I mean, this is going a little bit off topic, but it just depends on what kind of campaign you want to run. If you I like the campaigns where you kind of dull things out slowly over time.
Well, where your players actually have to be regular, in a way, rational adults. How does my character actually feed himself when he's not adventuring? So.
And what does he choose to spend his money on?
Right. That's.
I mean, your character's got it rough in the 10th campaign because you're trying to save up for plate.
and put
And
spells in
you're
his
putting
book.
spells in your spell book.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 very expensive things.
I actually had to take on an extra job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are crossing over into 3rd level now. So I mean, I think things are scaled more. They're scaled differently. You've got several hit dice worth of wiggle room. The casters are going to now have access to 2nd level spells. So it's gonna definitely change what I can put out there. And with the bigger challenges, obviously going to come bigger rewards. But I've been kind of itching for that DMG to really guide me. We're in a new edition. I don't want to push boundaries and whatnot. But we're way off topic.
Yeah, I was going to try to rein it back.
It's going back to how expensive the Wizard's spellbook is.
Right.
And that that's its big advantage.
It's being
technically
cost-
the gold is and the access to the spells.
What is it,
limits its power.
50 gold piece per spell level?
spell
First level, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
that is pretty costly.
So if we're looking
It's
at
half
the
for your specialty.
So if we're looking
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
wizard having access to, 44 spells
that they didn't pay for.
that they didn't pay for, and then whenever they capture a spell book, they can spend their money to put spells into their book.
I have a question I don't actually have the answer to.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
put those new spells into your spell book that you learn as you gain levels. Your pyromancer halfling rogue in the party decides to set your spell book on fire for extra warmth, and now you don't have a spell book. Do you know those spells to put them in a new book, or do you have to actually go and get them again?
I think the ones that you had prepared, you would know.
Anything you have prepared, you
know
would
it well enough to cast it. So
No.
So after you murder the pyromancer halfling, which I think is essential, because they've just burned like thousands of gold pieces worth of spells that you've accumulated. So you murder the halfling first, and then you
but he
figure
wanted
out.
to make fried chicken, man.
Right. Well, yeah. So slaying the halfling, and he's
Magically delicious
and
fried chicken.
He's probably a kender to begin with, because
Yeah.
only a kender would do something so obnoxious. And so after you've murdered the halfling, then you figure out. I would say that whatever you've prepared, you can probably.
No. I understand that.
You're saying
what's in your head, you can put in a new book.
What you're saying beyond what's prepared.
As a GM call, I would say no.
As a GM, I would give you an intelligence roll for the ones not prepared, and if you roll well,
take that perfect memory feat, and you won't have to worry about it.
I think.
Yeah, that's the one reason to take that feat.
Beyond that, as long as you're reading it once a month.
Oh yeah.
You read it daily.
Well, you're preparing the ones, or you're reading the ones you're preparing daily. But if you have a spell you haven't used,
You also need the speed reader feat.
Yes.
So I would judgment call. I would say the ones you don't have prepared, I'll give you an intelligence check, roll high, and you can rescribe it.
10 plus the level of the spell. Or
But of
like
course,
that.
that's only for the spells that you picked. As you're leveling up.
No, I would say if it was in your spell book and you don't have it prepared, but your spell book has been destroyed, and you're sitting down in front of a new book, Nate did it exactly. 10 plus a level of spell on an intelligence check. If you got it, you can rescribe that.
You're talking about the 44 spells that you get for free.
Yeah.
Someone burns that book. Well, you obviously didn't have those memorized. Do you get those back?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That would
Those ones I would allow the intelligence checks, but for the ones that you captured or researched or found, you might have to rediscover them. So I mean, and it's like the only way to make the sorcerer better is to be a dick
And
to
destroy.
the wizard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even so though, in this edition, because it's like a raw intelligence check. Your 9th level spell, that's a DC 19. That's fairly hard to hit.
14 or higher if you're maxed out on intelligence.
Right. So,
but I mean, you're looking at
Unless you allowed knowledge arcana to come into play or your proficiency bonus.
yeah, I don't know. Then that's getting a little too easy there. I would want it to be pretty excruciatingly hard to get. A 14 plus sounds pretty reasonable.
Well, because
On a 9th level
knowledge
spell.
arcana or your proficiency bonus would
Does
be
it pretty
same-
handily.
Well, no, would be the same thing.
I want to see the wizard that's 20th level that lets all of his spellbooks get destroyed, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as applicable when you get to the higher levels. I mean, at that point, you probably have enough finances and resources to have multiple spellbooks.
And it does say in here, in case you want to make a duplicate copy, any 20th level character is probably going to have.
What's the cost of duplicating your spellbook? Is it commensurate to?
It's exactly the same.
same.
50 gold a level.
Sucks.
Be expensive.
Because the 50 gold a level makes sense because you're researching it, you're buying reagents or whatever.
Just to replace the 44, to make a copy of your book that you got all the stuff for free.
Well, and it's the same if you just find a new spellbook with this some other wizard had scribed in there.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I was looking at, it doesn't say anything in here, but I would see, you've got the book in my campaign. Once you've actually decided to take what spells you want out of the book, that book should technically still have value. So I wouldn't see why you couldn't try to sell that
That's a
to
good point.
another wizard, or do something with
Or
it.
just keep it as a backup of the spells copied and copy your other spells back over to it.
Well, unfortunately, that book is written in a language he can't read, so he's got to ritualize it every time he wants to read it.
Yeah. But you could still use the additional pages.
It's
to
only an
finish
extra
others.
10 minutes.
Well,
That's a good point, though. It's
still-
got some spells
Well,
in it that another wizard could have access
Right.
to. So
Right.
But-
it has
So-
a value to it.
So yes, you could either, use it, and sell it to to get back some of that gold, or he could, totally just say, you know what, I'm gonna use it as a spell book, copy my spells into this book as a backup, and be able.
But how will I learn Infernal to copy them into that book?
You don't have to write.
Half infernal, half.
Yeah, that'll break my mind.
Yeah, just like my OCD kicks in. They're not in the same language. So, I was thinking in the fact like a good house rule fix would probably be if you already have access to the base material of the spell, like to learn it or whatever. Like I think the 50 gold per level is fair for like a spell that you don't have any resources of, but. I would say half the cost when you already have like source material to draw from to either copy it over.
You've already done the work.
Yeah, or to copy it from somebody else's book. Like, here's the formula right here, exactly how to do it. I feel like the 50 gold per level.
No, it doesn't. Wizard spells don't work that way. Part of that copying over is putting it in your words and you actually reformulating it and your notes. So there's like this research and stuff
Why
that goes
that costs
into
50 gold pieces aside from mechanical purposes,
I think
it's pretty much
it's put in there as a money
hedge.
sink.
Yeah, it's a money sink hedge against how much they did to the sword.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, but I feel like if you already have reference, you could half that, and the 50 gold could represent like the actual like I'm making this thing whole cloth. I know this exists. I'm doing the research whole cloth to make it.
All right. So going back to sorcerer wizard, because that's what we're supposed to be comparing here. Would you say to kind of balance out the the scales here? What would you give sorcerer at low level to try and bump them up?
The ability to short rest back some
sorcerer
magic
points.
some sorcerer points.
Okay, now the sorcerer points don't start till second. Would you give them something at first?
I lean something at first. I mean,
well, here's the thing: you could
They've got that extra cantrip.
You could give them that font of knowledge at first level with the recovery because it's the exact same thing that the first level wizard gets, and then it gives them equal footing on being able to cast with a much shorter spell list.
Or you could even the other option too is giving them access to simple weapons, and maybe expanding their skill list and giving them one more proficiency.
Right. Yeah.
Make it more like a more average traveler, like not a bard or a fighter, but not just simply a wizard with.
Magic. The idea is you're not investing time and energy in learning magic. So what do you invest time and energy? According to this, you just lay around.
Right, it just comes to you.
I've got the skills and powers of the.
No. I'm not talking about magic. I mean, in general, in life, all you do is lay around because you know magic, but that's not from studying or any kind of hard work.
Right.
What else do you do? Nothing.
You're doing whatever it is you would want to do.
You've been infused with power through some means, either your bloodline, some outside force, or experimentation, which also.
Well, no, everything ultimately goes into your blood, like it suffuses you.
So every other class, right,
trains
has to basically train for their stuff, except for the warlock and the sorcerer. Right, everybody else has to learn how to do their craft, whatever that is. So there's a time investment.
Right.
The craft here doesn't require anything. Which in the warlock, it's reflected clearly in their weapon training and their armor proficiencies.
Right.
They get more.
Now, there's no reason to give the sorcerer armor, because it would totally be negated if you went to draconic bloodline.
Yes.
Except for it could be some race class combinations give things like the mountain dwarf fighter.
Right.
Yeah, like they're a wash. So you could just so this way. Give light armor proficiency so that the wild mage gets armor to wear, and when other bloodlines come out,
So in 3rd edition, the sorcerer is shown with a spear, and now they don't have spears anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not in the picture, so clearly your character can't have it.
Well, but I mean,
your elf has to be a drow because that's the picture that's shown for the elves.
No, but I mean, in 3rd edition, they got simple weapons.
Yeah,
they were known to be carrying a spear. So now,
and wearing belt buckles everywhere.
Yeah.
Belts.
crossbow too, right?
So,
They can
you
use
know,
a crossbow.
well, they still have light crossbows.
okay, they can still use a crossbow.
But they don't have that simple weapon proficiency anymore. So, you know, that thing that was so obviously 3rd edition sorcerer, nothing of that has transitioned.
Right. Like
into
I would consider giving them simple weapons and a bonus proficiency that they can take from anywheres.
Right, either a tool, language, or proficiency.
Yes.
That I think that just like you get an open field on any one of those.
So there's our errata to sorcerer. You know, like we said in the other video, we think that they're a good thematic class. Wizard is still the dominant, in my opinion.
Can we talk about the what is it? The careful magic, magic feat?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Really, I was jumping in the bit to get into.
Okay.
So there, what is it? The sorcerer point. Is it just one sorcerer point?
You can spend one sorcerer point, and choose a number of creatures up to your charisma modifier, minimum of 1, and those creatures in your area effect spell automatically save on their saving throw.
Now, can we look at what the invoker gets at his? Was it second level?
Second level.
Second
yeah.
level. So, all right, I had to wait to get to second level if I chose that, which is one of the weaker selections for magic feats.
Evo?
Yeah.
You
Beginning at
can't get that
second
until
level.
3rd.
Beginning at second level, you can create pockets of relative safety within the effects of your evocation spells. When you cast an Evo spell that affects another creature that you can see, you can choose a number of them equal to 1 plus the spell's level. The chosen creatures automatically succeed on their saving throws against the spell, and they take no damage if they would normally take half on a successful save. So, your Evo specialist does it for free.
It doesn't
better.
hurt them.
a lot
and
more.
better.
A
Doesn't
lot more
hurt
of them too. What was it? 1 plus
1
the spell
plus
level?
the spell level.
Yeah.
Does it a level earlier.
Yeah, it gets that at second versus...
Didn't cost
careful
them any resources.
Well, careful spells... they do it a level earlier because they can't...
Yeah, so if you selected that as one of your 2 meta magic feats,
Which is one of the
meta magic abilities that you get.
Yeah. It's
And you have to do it next to the invoker who's over there yawning and like not hurting the party at all.
Fireball. Oh, they're all okay.
Yeah.
after you've singed your party with the fireball, like, hey, I used my magic feat, I used my sorcerer pool to help not hurt you so much. Oh, thanks, dick. Next time let the invoker cast a fireball in our
Right on my face.
Yeah.
See it not hurt me.
So the sculpt spells pretty much mirrors what selective did in earlier editions or whatever it was officially called, and the sorcerer does it half-assed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
much.
costs them sorcerer points.
And it cost a point.
And one of the meta magic choices.
Yeah, I just don't know what Wizards was thinking when they put together the sorcerer and compare it to the other classes.
Maybe they had two different design teams working on it, and one group came with a basket of apples, the other came with a basket of oranges. These are justified. We'll put these right next. Hey, why do the oranges keep rolling around? The apple will just kind of stay there. I don't get it.
So, all right. So there you have it. I think we like the sorcerer. We like the wizard. They just are not on the same playing field.
We thematically like the sorcerer.
So again, you want to play a sorcerer, think warlock or bard.
Yeah. Or house
just
rule.
call him a sorcerer.
Or house rule them.
Yeah. So if you have any house rules or ideas that you think will make the classes more comparable, please put them in the comments below.
Yeah, and if you think meta magic abilities help boost sorcerers up to where they're equivalent to a wizard, let us know as well.
One thing I want to talk just real briefly. So we talked sort of wizard spellbook, the sorcerer innately being able to do things, and that's one thing the sorcerer has over the wizard in that regard. So one thing I would say, warlock versus sorcerer, since you're getting your power through a pact with an outside entity, that outside entity could always turn off the tap of power. With
that's
the warlock,
true.
right? The sorcerer, it's innately they would have to get it somehow stripped out of their blood.
It's already been done.
Yeah. So I don't know. As a GM, you could do that if your warlock so goes far afield of the agenda. That,
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're not sticking to the pact that you've made, then yes, it's like.
Yeah.
A DM has three players. They play a sorcerer, a wizard, and a warlock. And the wizard and a warlock are like, oh man, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
We're gonna get our spell books taken. We're gonna get stripped of our powers. The sorcerer's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm the weak class.
Yeah,
Hey,
Nothing bad happens to me.
I'm just gonna eat the
caster,
sandwich.
but-
I'm just
yeah.
gonna eat the sandwich and cast some spells.
Yeah. So
Actually, as a sorcerer, and you're in the party with the wizard, like
you want to keep reminding the GM that he could do this.
no. During every rest, every long rest, you're gonna go over this. What you doing? As they're studying their spell book, and just keep interrupting them. I cannot be better than you unless I keep you from studying that book.
Right. You use prestidigitation to like
Wizard
harass
Rocket.
them. Well, to just harass them in some ways.
I fireball your spellbook.
Then you go from passive aggressive to aggressive aggressive. Yeah. All right, we were starting the outro, but I just wanted to throw that one little thought in there. So
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, like Ted was saying, you can like, comment, subscribe. You can also vent about the sorcerer down below.
If you guys have fixes, let us know.
Yeah.
And while you're at it, share this video with your friends and family.
That's
You
right.
can check us out on nerdarchy.com. We're pretty much all over social media.
Yep, Nerdarchy subreddit. How to stay nerdy.
Right. And with that, until next time, my friends,
Stay nerdy.